Your basement wet or has water, dampness, cracks, seepage, or other signs of moisture, it's time for an inspection.
All right, Frank and I were getting some tips because there are solutions to fix those problems. Greg Weber is a foundation inspector with Everdry Waterproofing, Fox Valley. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Well, let's talk about water in the basement. It is really a nightmare for homeowners. What are some of the tips and things we should be looking for in a leaky basement?
Well, you know, in a leaky basement, there's a couple warning signs that homeowners can find on their own. It can be things like cracks in the wall, peeling paint, even a dehumidifier running more than normal. That might be a sign that there's something to further investigate in the basement.
Now, what are some preventive tips for homeowners to help us out a little bit?
Well, there are a couple of ones. We call it the 3 Gs. Gutters, just making sure they're cleaned out, working correctly. Grading, making sure the soil is doing what it can do to push water away from the foundation and prevent pooling. And the last one is groundwater. Understand your neighborhood and just understand that if there's a chance that water is possibly getting trapped under your foundation, that's what can cause some of the long-term issues that homeowners deal with their foundations.
Okay, well, say we've always had a dry basement. All of a sudden, we notice some issues. Thinking, why now? Can you explain maybe what's happening?
Yeah, most homeowners will experience that in the springtime, in the spring rains. And what actually happens is it's the freeze-thaw cycle in the winter that'll cause a lot of the damage that doesn't rear its ugly head until the springtime. And to kind of go off of that, the other thing that can happen is passageways for water can start opening up and water can start getting trapped inside of certain areas of a foundation or basement. So it's not a bad idea for homeowners to just take a peek at their walls, look for things like discoloration on the walls, again, peeling paint, white powders, things of that nature.
Speaking of discoloration, that's happened at one of my properties. Mold. What type of mold and what is mold and why does it happen?
Well, see, mold is tricky. The general rule of thumb is it affects the very young, the very old, anybody who's immune compromised. Okay. And a lot of people, they fear the notorious black mold, but the reality is there are many different kinds of molds. They have different impacts on human health. And the thing just to remember about mold is it's not the black stuff on the wall that necessarily hurts us, it's what it does to our breathing air that really affects humans.
And that's one of the services your team can come out. If we have a concern, you can help us identify what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. We do a 20-point inspection. It's always a free inspection. And one thing that the EPA has told us is that about 40% of our breathing air upstairs comes from the basement.
Oh,
so,
gross.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going home immediately and calling your team. Okay.
So one thing we do is we provide a free air analysis. We check the air downstairs, just make sure there's nothing down there to be concerned about.
If you have frogs and crickets in your basement, is that a problem?
It might be a sign there's some water
Frank
getting
and
down.
I both live in old farmhouses.
Yes, we do.
And
Gotcha.
there are solutions, even if your home is very old, right?
Oh, certainly. I mean, we do houses over 100 years old every week, so we can take care of any kind of situation out there.
You know, what's the benefit for everyday waterproofing in a free inspection? What's the benefit for that?
Well, the benefit is we follow a 20-point checklist. You can get a good overview of what's going on in your foundation. And what it does is it allows me to kind of move around and walk around a foundation, find different warning signs that will tell us a story about what's happening to the structure itself. So that's really the main benefit of that, along with checking the air quality.
So you're staring at cement and rock, and you know exactly. That just amazes me. How did you get so knowledgeable about this?
Well, Everdry is a company that really takes pride in training, making sure that all of our inspectors know what they're looking for. They understand foundations, and we study things from the University of Minnesota, from BOCA, which is where Building and Plumbing Code comes from. So we make sure that we're knowledgeable on all the most recent information out there.
Nice.
The Foundation Whisperer.
Yes,
the new
I like
title.
that.
All right,
Yes.
you can check out the full list of services available through Everdry Waterproofing Fox Valley by visiting their website, everdryfoxcitieswi.com. Thanks for the advice.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.